Hi, my name is Sully and welcome back to the Little Reader's Corner. Today we are talking about short books. So I have a couple different options here. There are quite a few graphic novels, there are some poetry books, there are some quick-paced and short contemporary romances, because listen, are we actually gonna fly through a fantasy this point in the year? I'm not going to. So if you're like me and you haven't read a book since August or September, welcome. If you're also like me and you've been very preoccupied with a school semester or work or life or everything or all of the above, welcome. It's our time to shine. So these are books to help you finish those Goodreads goals if that's what you'd like to do. But just keep in mind, no matter what you've read this year, what amount, it's all valid reading. We don't have to hit a specific number. We can if we would like to, but maybe we just want to jump back into reading, like myself, after not having read for a while. We want something quick, fast, easy, and a good time to jumpstart it. So let's get into some of these books. So first off, we have the poetry. So these are three of my favorite collections from my favorite poet of all time. I have talked about these before in my poetry recommendations video. So if you're interested in more short poetry books and just poetry in general, you can check that one out. Otherwise, these are, of course, very quick, easy. I don't know if they're easy, they're emotional to get through, and they aren't very lengthy poems. Most of these just take up a couple of sentences. You can fly through it if you would like to, but as I said, it is emotional poetry. It's a little bit more modern, so might not want to fly through these, but definitely if you do a couple per night, then you could finish them before the end of the year. So I highly recommend these. These are specifically The Road Between, which is my favorite one of all time. And then also I Hope You Stay and Pillow Thoughts. There are, I think, 4 Pillow Thoughts collections out now. These are all by Courtney Peppernell. Love her poetry. A good time. And these are all, I think all of them are, yeah? Yes, they're all organized by different sections. So specifically for this one, for instance, this is I Hope You Stay, and the overall theme is in your heart. So there is you will ache, you will dream, you will love, you will heal, and you will rise. A good time. And now we have some graphic novel collections. Some of these I have talked about before, so I'll keep it brief on those. Other ones are new ones that I have enjoyed quite a bit. And then we have just a few that I haven't fully finished reading, but I'm really enjoying and I'm really looking forward to finishing them this season. So let's get into those. So the first two that I will talk about are ones where if you've seen any video on my channel, you've probably heard me mention these. The first one is Giant Days and the second one is Check Please. These are my favorite books, favorite stories of all time. Basically, I love these with every piece of my soul. So we're really gonna try to keep it brief. First off, Giant Days. This follows our 3 main characters who just started university. I have most of the volumes behind me. Here are my 3 special editions. I believe there are 13, 14 volumes of these, but quite a few more of the smaller collections within them. So as I was saying, these are about 3 students who just started university. They are going through all of the ups and downs that is involved with being in university, and it is just such a wholesome, heartwarming story about how they're all supporting each other. And it's just so relatable and I love it very much. So this is how I got through the latter half of 2020. I read all of these in the last 4 days of the year and I met my Goodreads goal. So there you go. And then of course our favorite book in existence, Check Please by Ngozi Ukazu. So this is my favorite thing in all of creation. It is about Biddy and he just started university as well. Wow, relatable. Do we sense a theme? And he loves baking. He just joined the hockey team and it's just all about the hockey bros and so much baking. And he's also a vlogger, so he does these little interludes in between where he's talking about what's happened in the past week. And it's just the hockey bro family is just so sweet and he's just the sweetest guy. It's also about him figuring out romance and all these things and I love it so much. then next up we have Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera. I have this book in 3 different formats because I love it so much. So you can either go with the graphic novel adaptation or the contemporary version, which was the original book, both in hardcover and paperback. It's fine, don't worry about it. This is about Juliet, who is living in the Bronx, and she decides to take this internship with a renowned feminist author in Portland. She moves to Portland, she experiences all of the things going on in Portland, and it is kind of a weird reverse culture shock in a way. And she goes through a lot of life experiences in a short amount of time. She learns a lot about herself, about love, and about identity while she is there, and it is just a wonderful, fantastic story. So you can either go for a graphic novel version or the physical version. Either way, I've went through these so quickly, so highly recommend that one. Then of course we have Mooncakes. So this one I have enjoyed reading and rereading so much. It is such a cozy and comfortable tale about a werewolf and a witch who are best friends and who reconnect. They are experiencing their own situation where they're trying to help each other out and reconnect through their different identities, and there's also a lot of baking, and it's very cozy and comfortable, and it's just so inviting, and the art is beautiful. Next we have the Adventure Zone. So if you are into D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, role-playing games, all of those things, this might very much be up your alley. If you're not, general fantasy, a good time. Why is there a fire truck outside my window? Guys, are we good? It's probably fine. It's probably fine. So this is actually based off of a podcast where 3 brothers and their dad are playing Dungeons and Dragons on the podcast, and these are basically their characters and the adventures that they go on throughout it. So there are a few interludes by the Dungeon Master, which is one of the brothers, throughout this, and it is such a fun adventure. It really just sucks you in, and the creativity in the adventures that they go through is absolutely redonkulous. There are currently either 3 or 4 right behind me. I think there's 3. No, there's 4. I think there are 4 volumes out right now. So if you enjoy one, you will enjoy them all. You can also enjoy this in the format of the podcast, and there are many, many episodes to enjoy there. And then last of all, we have the 2 graphic novels that I started in October for a cozy, spooky graphic novel video that will never see the light of day. And that's fine, that's fine. So I made it about halfway through Sheets, and I started the first couple of pages of Seance Tea Party, and these are exactly the kind of books you want if you want something slightly spooky and mysterious, but also very adorable, like this ghost who's just hanging out in this ghost land, the afterlife. I'm not entirely sure, I haven't made it all the way through. And then he just shows up at this laundromat and causes some chaos. And then there's also this young woman who's doing her own thing and trying to figure herself out. I think she's in high school, and she's going through a lot trying to keep this laundromat alive, and I think they become best friends, and I think it's probably going to be adorable, and that's fine. Then we have Seance Tea Party. Honestly, I don't even know what this is about. It's friends and a ghost and tea parties, magical tea parties, and they have a good time. This is also very adorable. This looks like a very similar art style to the Tea Dragon Society. If you've read and enjoyed the Tea Dragon Society books, which I didn't include in here because so many people have already read those, then I think you might really enjoy this one. But yet again, with a grain of salt, because I haven't finished this one, I've barely started this one. So hopefully these are also very good, and maybe you want to join me in enjoying these before the year is over. Maybe. Now let's talk about the actual novels. So as you can see, these are all quite short, and they are also just very fast-paced and fantastic reads. So first, let's talk about I Think I Love You. This I actually read as an ARC, so I haven't read the finished copy, but the ARC was already so fantastic. So I'm actually looking forward to rereading this at some point in the future. At some point. So this is a contemporary romance. It's about a group of friends who are working on this film project. There is kind of an enemy nemesis that steps in, and they all have to work on this film project together to try to get this major scholarship. And there's quite a bit of tension in the group. The enemy is basically just the enemy of the main character. Everyone else, this is totally fine. And there's a romance that blossoms. This is also a very queer book, so good times all around. And it's just very short and fast paced, and you'll get through it so quickly. It's not even 300 pages. Next, this one, Tweet Cute. One of my favorite books of all time, is the cutest thing ever, and even though it's slightly thicker, I read this so quickly, so quickly. Anything by Emma Lord is just fantastic, and every single one of her books I've read in 1 day or 2 days because they're amazing, and the characters are just so realistic and honest and adorable and quirky that it's a good time no matter what. So this is about Jack and Pepper. Yes, their ship name is Pepper Jack, and it's the cutest thing ever. And it is about how Pepper's family owns a giant social media thing. Yes, so Pepper's family owns this Big League Burger chain of restaurants, and she's basically their social media manager, so she posts always funny things on Twitter. And then at some point they create this grilled cheese that is actually the stolen recipe from a very well-known local establishment. It's Mama's Grilled Cheese, something like that. And Jack's grandma is actually the one who created that grilled cheese recipe. So they start a Twitter war between this huge established chain restaurant and this small local family business. And at some point they find out that they actually know the other person on the side of the social media war, and things happen, and they're also kind of, you know, friends in real life, but not really. They're actually kind of rivals. It's just, ow, I hit myself with the book. It's just good. It's a good time. This wouldn't be a recommendation video of any kind without time travel. So here we have, it looks like 3, it's actually 2 of my favorite time travel stories. This one I actually just started, but I'm really intrigued by. So of course, this is How You Lose the Time War. It's just my favorite story of all time. Like, it's no big deal. This is either just over 200 pages or barely 200 pages. It's not even 200 pages, and it is some of the best time travel fiction I've ever read. So this is the exclusive edition set. Yes, this is the same book twice. I have no regrets. Basically, it's about this futuristic society where there are 2 different sides to this war. There's the blue and the red side, and either side is trying to control the timeline. So it starts this time war where all of their time travel agents are going back and forth, making changes in the timeline. And then it's actually about these 2 in particular time travel agents, one from each side, who start leaving each other notes that's like very sassy notes, and at some point maybe a stronger connection evolves from that. It's just one of the best things I've ever read. Like, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Last book on this list I just started reading, and that is When the Coffee Gets Cold. I am 30 pages into this, so yet again I'm recommending this with a grain of salt. It is also quite short. It is just above 200 pages. It's small, so it's even smaller, 200 pages. This is also a time travel story, and it's specifically about a coffee shop where if you sit down in a particular table in this coffee shop, you can go back in time, but there are very specific rules to going back in time. And once people hear the rules, they are much less interested in actually traveling back and going to the past, because and the rules involve that you can only travel back to this specific coffee shop. So whatever you're trying to alter or so had to have taken place in this coffee shop. And no matter what you say or do when you travel back, there will be no change in the future. So you can say whatever you want, but when you come back to the future, everything is still the same. There are still going to be the same outcomes. I think there are a couple more stipulations, but those are the main 2. So once people hear that, they're a lot less interested to try to actually make changes, because nothing will really happen. So there are a couple different perspectives that this starts off with. I believe they're all short stories of people who are experiencing going back and trying to make changes. So it's all little snippets of people, and it's so interesting, entertaining, and I love time travel stories and short. So those were all of my book recommendations for books that either you can jump back into reading after not having read for a long time, or just for your Goodreads goal. Yet again, if you don't reach your Goodreads goal, it's okay. You did some reading during the year, and that's something to be proud of. Even if you were just reading instructions off of the pasta box, because apparently there are instructions for cooking pasta, so, you know. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have read any of these books, or if you have any recommendations for me of short books that I can read to complete that Goodreads goal. I don't even know where I am with the Goodreads goal. I have no idea if I'm on track or not. Probably not, because I haven't read in forever. But yeah, hopefully there's something on this list that you will enjoy. I tried to have a wide array of different options. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day. I will see you in the next one. Bye!